Hello, guess who? That's today, it's King Oberon, prettiest of the fairies. And I've got a guest with me today, also from the human lads, just like last week. Only this time, it's a pirate. That's right, a human pirate. His name's Tim. Tim, the retired pirate, Tim. I don't know. How do you say it, Tim?
Well, they call me Tired Tim. And as Tired Tim, I would like to retire. But what I need from you, great lord, is I need a pardon so I won't have to be looking over my shoulder all the time.
A pardon? Are you wanted in the fairylands? I didn't know.
Not that I'm aware of.
Ah, so it's the humans you're seeking the refuge from.
Aye, me lord, aye.
Ah, no surprise there. Those nasty disposition potatoes are mean.
Yeah, you raid 1, 2, couple thousand ships, and word gets around.
I've heard that. So in exchange for this pardon, since pardons don't come cheap, and you didn't bring any goat cheese, what do you got in trade?
Well, you see, me lord, I've heard rumors of an ancient artifact that you might be interested in.
What artifact be that, Tim?
The fairy flag of the MacLeods.
The fairy flag of the MacLeods? That thing's been missing for 300 years.
Yeah, but I understand it was your pledge in order to help them in time of battle if they flew it.
Don't remind me. Titania roped me into that over her sister's big backside. Yeah, you're right though. That would definitely be worth a pardon. Do you know how they ended up with that flag in the first place?
I've heard stories, but I'm not sure of how they got it for certain. I would like to hear it from you.
Oh, that's a sad tale. It's gonna make you just cry tears. You see, about 500 or so years ago, the Queen's sister, she's a troll, you know.
I've heard that.
She was on a rampage. She was eating humans out of house and home. She'd sneak into their kitchens in the middle of the night, looting around, eating their cheese and their bacon and their bread and all their fruits and vegetables. Right, no, she wasn't leaving anything for me. That's horrible. How are they going to pay tribute to the king if the Queen's sister is eating everything? And, you know, the little cobbler elves, they weren't getting no food either because she was eating it all.
Imagine that.
It's terrible. So she came along to the MacLeod's castle back then. It was basically a mud hut back in the day, back then. And she snuck in through the castle window wall. How did she sneak through that window? I had no idea. I mean, the window's like this wide, and the Queen's sister, she's like... Well, she's like... My arms won't reach that far, but anyway, she is huge. So she must have used fairy magic to slip in through the window. Well, she's in the kitchen and she's gobbling and she's eating and she's snatching and she's snorting and she's worse than the 3 little piggies, you know. Just horrible, just eating out the house and home. And she comes upon a big iron stew pot that was cooking over the fire. And she sticks her big gobby head in there and she's looting it with the bread and she's sopping up the gravy with the bread and she's eating. And she's scarfing all of it up. Well, she ran out of bread.
Well, what'd she do?
Well, that great greedy thing, she put her whole head in there to lick the bottom of the bowl clean. And you know what happened? She got stuck. She couldn't get a big melon out. So there she is.
Must have been horrible for her.
Must have been horrible for the people. So she starts flailing about. And she's flinging her arms around and she's tearing the kitchen up and she can't get loose from the pot. So finally, tired, after about 10-15 seconds or so, because she's fat and lazy, she collapses down to the ground and she's sitting there with her huge head crying into this iron pot which burns because, you know, iron and fairies don't mix too well. And she's in there crying.
Well, how'd she get out?
Well, that's where the MacLeods come in. You see, the youngest MacLeod daughter, she heard this row going on in the kitchen, and she was afraid, and nobody else wanted to go in the kitchen because they were all very, very scared. There's a troll in the kitchen after all, and who can mistake them crazy sounds for anything other than a troll? The Queen's sister, as if we didn't know. And so, the youngest MacLeod daughter, also being the bravest of the MacLeods, she sweeps on in there, and she peeks around the corner, and she sees the great big gubby thing sitting there with the pot stuck on her head, and she looks about, and she says to her, "Oh, are you stuck in the pot?" And meanwhile, the Queen Sister, "Yes. Do you want me to get your head out for you?" "Yes. Okay, I'll help you then." So the youngest MacLeod daughter, she goes over and she gets a swab of bacon grease, a big globe of it, and she smears it all around the inside rim of the cauldron.
Well, good thing she hadn't eaten that.
Right, well, she was going to get to it soon, so it's a good thing too. She liked the gravy so much. So she swabbed it around, and she put both feet on the side of it, and she reached, and she pulled, and the Queen's Sister, and she pulled on it, and the Queen's Sister, and next thing you know, she gave it a big heave, pop, and the Queen's Sister came out of the pot. At last. And the MacLeod daughter, she lay there on the ground because she was tired, because moving the Queen's Sister that's a monumental task.
I can imagine.
They're like that Hercules fellow who lived all them labor things.
I can imagine.
So the Queen's Sister, she's out. Thank you for freeing me. I thought I was going to be stuck in there forever. Oh, well, you're welcome, but what happened to the kitchen? All the food is gone. I'm sorry, I was just so hungry. But you have saved me, and so my sister Titania, she will surely reward you, her and the Fairy King Oberon. Oh, well, you don't have to do that. I just wanted to help. You'll receive the blessings of the fairy for sure. And then off the Queen's Sister went, trundling through the side of the castle, knocked the door down, dragging all sorts of stuff behind her.
What kind of a blessing is that?
Stay away, I haven't got to that yet. That comes later. So it was some years later then, about 15 years later, and this is probably where you know the part of the story it was. Queen Titania had heard, through her magic ways, that the MacLeod daughter had given birth to a fine young son.
Aye, I've heard that it was given to them because the Queen had been taking care of the MacLeod's son, and Lady MacLeod had found her there, and she left the flag as a blessing for her. The story is that the flag would help cows give milk and bring fish up the loch, and that if the MacLeods ever had need of the help in battle, they could fly it up to 3 times, and the fairy folk would come fight for them.
Hey, that's pretty close to it. See, the MacLeod daughter, then being the queen at that time, had come into her chambers and found Titania holding the baby in a swaddling blanket. And Titania says to her, she says, "You have the blessings of the fairy upon you. You may call upon us 3 times, and 3 times only. At that time the magic will be forever gone from the swaddling blanket. In the meanwhile, it will grant your boy perfect health and long life." Well, so it goes, is what she says. There was an argument about that, you know. The Queen wanted to give him a lot more blessings and let it last forever, but I'm not doing that. That's too much work. She wanted 4. I said 2. So we settled on 3.
Seems reasonable.
Seems reasonable. So they can only fly that flag 3 times, the swaddling cloth, which I thought was strange. But okay, it makes a good flag too, I suppose. What else are you going to use the swaddling cloth for afterwards, right?
Aye.
So now, with that being given and the gift given, as you know, and now the gift not being done, as it were, what happened after? Let's hear what the humans have to say.
Well, I've heard that they used it many times for blessing the marriage bed and whatnot, but they say that the MacLeods have only flown it twice. Twice against the MacDonalds, both times. The second time they flew the flag, the MacDonalds had a bunch of them trapped in a church, and they were burning the church. When the MacLeod fleet sailed in, they were vastly outnumbered by the MacDonalds, but they caught them at low tide where the MacDonalds could not get back to their ships. and they flew the flag, and they won a great victory when a great fog came in with the ferry.
I
armies.
remember that.
But somehow they lost the flag during the skirmish.
Yeah, I had heard that as well. See, the first time when they had called on me, they had been trapped in a field. The MacLeods themselves had been trapped. And the enemy was all around them, and there was no way out. And they flew the banner of the flag, and that's when I came in, bringing the mist from the moors to hide them. And the MacLeods were able to escape and win the day. That second time you're talking about, when the flag was lost, that's terrible, horrible right there. Because you know what that meant. That meant
that they could not call upon you for your aid.
They couldn't use it the third time. And so now here I am waiting for them to fly that flag the third time so I can finally be done with the Queen's sister's mess. And what happens? The humans lose it. But you, Pirate Tim, you've given me some hope. You say you know where the flag is.
Well, you see, Your Honor, or Your Majesty, or...
I'm a judge now.
Well, you do call on judgment, don't you?
Yeah, right. The Queen usually questions that, though, I'll tell you that.
Well, okay. I'll not question your judgment, I promise you, sir.
Yeah, sounds good.
Anyway, I heard the rumors, and I checked into them, and I found a map, but it's written in code.
Written in gold.
In code. It was coded.
It's cold. It needs a
It's in a language it's hard to understand.
Oh, you need to talk to our lore keeper. I bet she can read it.
Anyway, if I can decipher this code that it is in, I believe I can find the flag and return it to you. Would that be enough to grant my pardon?
That'd be enough to get you a pardon and all the goat cheese you can eat for the rest of your days. And you can drink from the king's own cellar.
The cellar sounds good, but I don't. To be honest with you, I don't eat that much goat cheese.
Don't worry, you'll get to like it. We have lots of goat cheese around here. All right, well, Pirate Tim, it sounds like we've got us a bargain then.
Sounds like it.
As you humans say, let's shake on it. Haha, perfect. Well, I'll see you soon on that, right then? You go talk to my lore keeper, and we're good to go.
Thank you, great sir.
All right, see you soon, Tim. Bye-bye.